costume change. I'm having way too much fun with this. This is too much fun. But it is kind of hard to talk about the book before it's published because it's hard um to talk about the characters because I don't want to say their names and I don't want to, tell too much about, what goes on because I want people to read the book. I don't want them looking at this and knowing everything that the book is about. But it'll be easier in the years that come after the book is published that people will better be able to understand what I'm talking about. I think the other day I was talking about one of short story that I wrote while I was writing the book. Um, Actually, two. Um, Raven Knight, like night, like a knight in shining armor kind of night, not nighttime. Which hey, could be a twist on words. I'm pretty clever, even when I'm not trying to be. Um, it is one of my actually, it's my only hero that has black hair. And I didn't do that on purpose. I had a vision. Okay, my male characters, I have a vision in my mind. Sometimes it's an actor who has nothing to do with any of it, but he looks like the character in the book. So I kind of imagine that. I think Anne Rice said, if I don't want to misquote her, but I believe while she was writing the part of Tom Cruise's part in Interview with the Vampire, that she was thinking about Sting. I believe that's what she said. He's one of my yummies, so I can just imagine that. I can't imagine playing that part. It would have killed me. It almost killed me as it was. It was a really sexy movie to me. Um, 'Cause I like that period and I kind of like that kind of stuff. So Raven Knight was after the visual that I got of an actor that's was on TV, something I'd been watching, and um, he's not a nice guy. He just, I don't know, for some reason I just all my male characters have to have a little zzz to them. They gotta have a little downside to them. It has to be some secret, or it has to be something they did and they don't want anybody to know, or it has to be, something crazy going on like that. Um, and once again, like I said, all my heroines are black. And he goes actually to the Holy Land to fight in the um Crusades, and he meets this woman, and he brings her back to England, and like he throws her in the dungeon, and he's just this awful person to her, and she escapes and goes into Sherwood Forest, as she knows, and she meets Robin Hood and that whole lot. Um, and the other story, Unspoken, is kind of almost the same thing. It's almost the same setup, almost the same formula, but how they meet in Unspoken is she's a Moor whose parents had served at the Abbey or something like that. I can't remember, or had served with a crusader, had come to England with returned to England with a crusader. They ended up being there so long because I mean people stayed places long. I mean I could go literally to Japan and come back in a day if I wanted to. But back then when people go went on trips, they stayed places forever. So the because number one, it took like 2 months to get back to the Holy Land in Robin Hood's time. So what ends up happening is while they are in service to this Lord, Crusader, of course they're raising a family and doing all this stuff, and all this stuff is going on. And what they do is they leave to go back to the Holy Land with this man. Her parents do, and leave their children behind, because by this time it's really dangerous down there. There's a lot of stuff going on, in the Middle East, just like it is now. Lord, will it ever stop? But so they leave their two daughters in um the custody of the church, of the abbey, of the abbess. And one of the daughters, the older one, um takes the holy order. The other one is once again more or less a healer. This is not so much a story I'm going to publish. I might, but it's more or less exercise, and working out characters. This is how you work out your characters. This is how you learn, and that's how you work out. And every time, everything you write gets better, 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 better. So she's like a healer. She's learned all that stuff, and she's a Moor maiden, and she kind of sneaks around the village. They don't know anything. The people in Nottingham don't know anything about it. And what happens is she gets she's raised in the abbey, so of course she learns how to read and write, because they put her to work copying things. What ends up happening is she's living in the abbey, and the hero um, is Sir Guy, and he brings his nephew to the abbey because he's very, very sick. The boy's very, very sick, and she heals. She comes out of her little cell where it is she's living, and there's a lot of physicians standing around, and they all want to bleed the boy and stuff that's gonna kill him. And this woman knows exactly what to do. She ends up curing the boy, and she cures the boy. Of course, Sir Guy leaves, and I can't remember. No, he's not. No, he doesn't chase her through. I can't remember how he. Oh, I know what happens. He goes into Sherwood Forest without um any, and of course, she's known. Mara is known to in the short stories I can say. I just don't want to say in the book. Mara is her name. Um, she um because she does such good, for the peasants, and helps them, and cures them, and what meager medical attention they get, she gives it. And so she hangs around with them, you know. And so what happens is Sir Guy goes into Sherwood Forest alone, with like out any men, with unarmed and stuff. And he says, "Look, I want the girl. Just bring me that girl. Either bring me that girl. I'm gonna burn down the forest. I'm gonna, he was gonna, burn up a village. He was gonna do all this crazy stuff. He can get this girl back." So she ends up turning herself in, and he brings her back to Nottingham Castle. She's like held. He um pretty much brings her there, then dumps her, and goes off somewhere to a tournament or something. He comes back, and that was the scene I think I was telling you guys, the S&M scene where he beats her. Oh, the main catalyst is that of course she's educated, so she writes this proclamation and nails it kind of Martin Lutherisk up to the gates of Nottingham, Castle Nottingham, but nobody knows she did it. And I can't remember, how do I find out? Either okay, even with those weird quill pens, you still had a distinctive handwriting. You still had little flurs, and still had little, even though you restricted, but the way the quill was um, sharp and flat, just like anybody's handwriting. Even now, we don't handwrite a lot, but he recognizes some kind of way. He gets a copy of a book from the Abbey she's copied, or some kind of way he compares the two, and he realizes, wow, she wrote that. She wrote that. And he wants to let her know he knows. And then he tells her that she can't leave the castle. She has to stay there with him. They finally do have sex, and she ends up. She says, "Well, look, I can't stay here with you. I need to go, and take care of the peasants, the people who really need me." He wants her to stay there and care for the nobles. He offers to set her up with her own herbery, and that kind of herbarium, and that kind of thing. And she says, "No, my place is with the people." He's like, "Well, you're not leaving. What do you think you're gonna, just schlep in and out of Nottingham Castle when you feel like it?" You know. And she uh but in the end, after they make love, he tells her that number one, the little boy is not his nephew. He's actually his son. He had by a noblewoman who was married, whose husband was away at the Crusades. So her husband was coming home, you know, and unlike some of the soldiers coming home, and like some of the soldiers coming home now, you know, they've been on deployment 3 years, and they take these pictures of him greeting his 3-month-old son. Come on, y'all. Do some math. Do some math. I mean, it's so funny. You're like, come on. Come on, y'all. Don't. Come on. And you can't count back from 9. So pretty much the same thing happened. The Crusader had been gone. They were gone 5, 6 years. The Crusader had been gone 5, 6 years. And this noble woman has this newborn, and he's on his way back home. So what Sir Guy does is take the baby to older titled wealthy couple who never had any kids, and leaves him with him. And so the little boy thinks that Sir Guy is his uncle, not his um whoa, I confused the two stories. In Unspoken, he takes the baby to Sir Guy takes the baby to his sister and her husband. That's why he thinks he's his uncle. See, this it gets confusing even to me. That's why this is hard. In Raven Knight, um, that Sir Guy um has the baby by a scullery girl, something like that. He's a drunken pig at one time. He kind of changes after he comes back from the Crusades, but before he goes, he's just rather screwing around with this little scullery girl, and she gets pregnant and the girl dies. And his mother goes down to the village. She does a lot of work, and with the poor. She goes down to the village and sees the baby, and as soon as she sees it, she knows it's his. He didn't even know that he had gotten the girl pregnant. And so what he does is takes this. Yeah, now I got it right. He takes his son, and gives him, pretty much adopts him out to a older, very wealthy couple who, well, it all tie in. You guys just gotta wait. It'll all tie in. Um, One of these two is going to be the prequel. I don't know which way I'm going to go with it. I'm pretty sure it's Raven Knight. Oh, and then in Raven Knight, the Sir Guy in Raven's Knight, um, brings his own son back into the castle as a page. But the boy, because he wants him near him, but he can't tell the boy you know, that he's his father, so he doesn't tell him. Um, a lot of times I get confused with things because a lot of times I have stories in my head, and sometimes I can't remember if I wrote them, because during my fanfic days, I was doing boy bands. I did one vampire thing with boy bands, and then I did some fanfic, some X File fanfic, and then they have what they would call crossover, where you would have characters from, say, I would have characters from the X Files and In Sync. I mean, just combinations like that. That's a lot of what people call crossover stories. And um, I tried my hand a little bit at Slash's gay men. We just take two men you think are hot and put them together, like, I don't know, I don't know, Steven Tyler and Tommy Lee Jones. Ooh, ooh. You know what I mean? You just put two men you think would like to see together, and make this whole thing out of it. And that's kind of fun to write. I wrote a couple of those, but sometimes I have stories in my brain that I don't know about, that I don't remember if I actually wrote them down or not. Or jotted down. I'm pretty sure I jotted down the ideas of most of everything, but something, sometimes when I'm just daydreaming, stuff is going through my head. It's just running through my head. Um, so I do have stories in my brain that just stay around there, and they turn into ideas. I don't want to. I had always thought maybe to um, publish a book of erotic bedtime stories, like take kind of like Sleeping Beauty and all those that those erotic things, The Taming of Sleeping Beauty. I don't know if it's Anne. I believe it's Anne Rice, but she's writing under another name. Claiming of Sleeping Beauty, that kind of thing. So it's really a erotic story about that. So I always thought about doing a short story, but I don't know. Writing a lot of eroticism now. I don't know. Since I'm getting older, for some reason, I have no. I don't know. It just seems like that's something I'm gonna definitely do one day. Probably after maybe all the books and stuff. But I definitely wanna publish a, a book of erotic bedtime stories. I'm definitely gonna do that. Um, Cleaned out the fridge. I talked about cleaning out the refrigerator. Going through and getting rid of a lot of stuff. Let me see. Let me see. Good writing. Back up. What to take with me when I move. I got that. What YouTube? Oh yeah, I got the chance to see some Malibu Doll Face the other night. I actually went downstairs to work and go online for, I don't know. I just sometimes, most of the time, I don't like mind being alone, but sometimes I just you know want to be around. It's cranberry juice. It's not wine. Um, um, so I went downstairs to look at a little YouTube or something, and ended up talking to this guy like the whole time. That's all I did was sit there and talk to this guy um, the whole time. His They were having a baby shower down in. 'Cause I said we have a lounge and people have reserve it and have parties, baby showers and weddings, and a lot of stuff like that goes on. And this guy, his mom was no, not his mom wasn't pregnant, his mom's friend was pregnant, so he, of course, he was sitting out in the lobby part. And so we just sat there and talked like the whole night, and he was asking me, he's a young guy, he was asking me all this stuff about movies, and he was really impressed that I knew him. He'd say, okay, who starred in so and so and so, like we did this like the whole night, and that was kind of fun. And I was looking at some Malibu Doll Face. He was doing like he's like an image consultant. He's a cosmetologist, I think a cosmetologist, and he's also like an image, um um kind of maker. And he was, he wears a lot of wigs, he wears a lot of hair pieces. Like I said, for some reason I have a fetish for that stuff. I can't wear that stuff anymore, but I'm absolutely fascinated by it. I mean, I cannot see putting a weave in my hair. I just can't imagine. I did have extensions at one time. I did have braids at one time, but they were braids. I can't see sewing some stuff into my head. I really don't. Um, Once in a while, I think about. I used to have some really nice wigs, maybe a wig, but I don't know, because then if you meet somebody and you have your wig on, and then they see that your hair is really short, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I care, but okay. I'm going to, let me see, that's going to be one, two, three, four, maybe one more. And that's it.